Okay, so this video is going to be a very short and very quick basic introduction to using the layers and some channels within Substance Painter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in I'll start a new project. I'm going to do PBR metallic roughness, physically based rendering, metallic and roughness channels. So these are the types of channels, the properties that I'm going to be working with this item. I'm going to put it onto 4K, keep it on DirectX, that's fine. And then if we go select, I'm going to bring in this object here, the base, to the Quad 2. So this is the one of the amplifiers that sit in class. And this is the base part of it. It's just a simple rectangle cube like this, so that we can give it a go of painting. So we can just have a look at the surface, etc., and see how they operate in the light. All right, so this is just default at the moment. I'm holding down Shift and right mouse button just to move the light around. You can see we've got nothing here. We've just got our delete default layer. I've arranged these windows as I like them. I'm just going to delete that. So we've literally got nothing on there. Texture set settings. I'm going to swap over here. I've got one default material within this project, so that's fine. But on texture set settings, I'm going to bake mesh maps. This is going to create all of these different maps, and this will allow Substance Painter and the smart materials and other things within Substance Painter to work out and interpret the geometry here. How light is going to bounce, how surfaces are going to interact, where the corners are, where the curves are, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to put that on 4K. We don't actually need really the mesh maps for this project, but it's always a good habit to get involved, to practice and get into the habit of baking that straight away. We can always delete them, so it's no problem. All right, so when that's done, let's pop over to our layer stack. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is create a folder. So put a folder on, and we're going to type in there, I'll name it base paint. Okay, work in folders because we can mask folders, so we can put things in there and then mask them off and have things blending backwards and forwards. So always probably a good idea to work in painters. Now, in layers, sorry. Now, what I'm not going to do is do this all on one layer. I'm going to break this down into different layers just so we can see exactly how this works. Now, first thing, I'm going to create a fill layer. Everything we're going to do is on fill layers, their own layer, because we can mask them. And I'm going to drag that into the folder. Now, if we see on that layer, we've got all of these channels, or properties for this layer: color, height, roughness, metallic, and normal. Now, just so we can see exactly what's going on, I'm going to switch off all of the channels. See, the options are disappearing. And only keep on color here, so I can play around with the color. So on that layer, it's only adjusting the color. I'll keep it like that for now, and then just so we know what we're doing, I'm going to type in color. I'm going to add a new layer here. This one, I'm going to keep that with height only. Now, as I say, normally you can do all of this on one layer, but I'm just separating it out to make it easier to see what's going on. I'm going to do this. What have we got? Height. Roughness, and we'll switch those off. And then last one, metallic, and that's what we'll be working with for this little example. So metallic, roughness, height, and color. So as I say, we can combine all of those and normal. And funnily enough, we can also add channels as well. Base color, height, roughness, metallic, normal. That's the default for this preset. We could add opacity, for example, and then have a opacity option here. But as I say, we're not going to work with those at the moment. We're just doing basic metallic, roughness, height, and color. All right, so I'm going to put height down there, funnily enough, because I want height to be right at the bottom. Still want it to be in the folder though. And then colour, and then roughness, and then metallic. Now, first of all, I'm going to work on roughness. Okay, so if we look at roughness, right, what do we want? I can play around with the value here. 0, yeah, 1, so that's matte, gloss. We can play around with what we like if it's a really clean, brand new surface. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is put a texture on there. Now it defaults straight to procedural textures, which is good. And I'm going to look at some of the grunge textures. And I'm going to look for rough. And then we've got dirty somewhere. Yeah, there you go. Grunge, rough, dirty. Includes randomness. So we put that on, and if we look at the surface now, yeah, we can see we've got some roughness, some variation. Some parts are a bit glossier than others. We've got this here, and that's good. Balance, we can play around with, how we want it to be based on the roughness map. Yeah, I'll keep it like that. Just going to play around with the slider. Contrast. Yeah, we'll keep it quite rough like that. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. We can play around with the roughness there. See how that is. Don't forget, on each channel, well, don't forget, I haven't said yet, but if we look at roughness here, I can adjust by selecting roughness, the intensity, yeah, of that entire layer, which is, you can play around with the parameters on the layer itself, and then blend and mix it in with other layers, like Photoshop, later on in the process. And we've got also the normal blend modes. If we're playing around with the right channel for this layer, we've separated them out. So roughness, we'll play around with the metallic on that one, roughness on that one, so that each channel, yeah, can be targeted individually with its opacity or blend mode, because we can put multiple together. I'm not going to do that for this example, but you can, layer up this stuff quite easily. Okay, so that roughness is fine. Color, that's not right. What we want a sort of a bluey grey like this, with a little hint of, yeah, that'll do. I'll do for now. All right, okay, so that's fine for the roughness channel. Next, have a look at the and the color channel. Sorry, the roughness. Let's have a look at the metallic. What we can do is we can look for another map here, and so we can play around with the metallic slider here, just 0 to 1, black, white. But let's have a look for another material. The grunge concrete. Let's see what we can find. Let's look at that one. Okay, that's fine. I'm doing this very quickly. And let's play around with some of these these settings. So if we can see, you can switch off and on the visibility. You can see the difference it's making. And that's fine, but I don't want it really metallic. Just want to give it a little bit of a sheen. So I'll turn the balance down. The contrast. Yeah, I'll keep that. I'd rather fade it up here, I think. So looking at the metallic channel, let's turn that down, decrease the intensity. Okay, so that's looking about right. Yeah, just breaking up that surface. It's fine for a base color. And don't forget, shift, play around with the light, see how it plays off the surface. Okay, so we should say that's fine. Obviously, you can just keep on playing around with all of these, adjusting them to achieve what it is you want to get. Last thing we're going to look at is height, and then we're going to we're going to do something slightly different here. I think we're going to let's put a different texture on. Put some spots. Yeah, no, let's find something that's. Okay, so you can see what's happening. You know, it's playing with the height channel. It's beginning to make that surface undulate. Spots there. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. All right. Okay. So this is interesting, but you know, it's relatively flat. It doesn't quite give you what we want. We just want to make it sort of a very slightly undulating surface. So play around with that. Just really increase the density of some of these. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to change the way that's look at that seam there. I'm going to change that over. Slightly different projection. Scale. That's that. Probably not that much. Yeah, okay, so we can do that. Bring that right down. Actually, no, I'll keep it like that for the moment. Yeah, okay. Masking. Range. I want to keep it quite full there. But what I will do is I'm going to add a filter onto this because we don't want it to be so sharp. So I'm just going to add a filter and then choose a blur, and that'll blur that somewhat. Yep, right, we'll play around with that. Okay, so yeah, that might be okay. Yeah, and then on the height channel, you can tone it right down. Again, that might be even too much. Yeah, tone it right down. Okay, so we've got a little bit of hopefully breaking up of that surface. And then mode rendering. Clear the ground, take off the shadow, and there we go. Obviously that's done very quickly, there's loads more to do. But yeah, we've got a sort of a base material which we can start to wear, add dirt, further refine as we go. Okay, which playing with the light and bouncing light quite well. Okay, so that's it. We're going to leave it there. Now I've separated all these channels. Yeah, everything that I've done on each of these, you could do just by adding a new layer in and then literally doing it on one layer. So I've just separated everything out so you can see how each channel works. Just easily switch them off and on. Yeah, look. Okay, so that surface there. Light off, light on. Quite subtle. All right, okay. Hope that was interesting. Thank you very much.